Pewdiepie, a world-known YouTuber. I don't even watch him, but I know his name. Last year, he uploaded a video where he learned how to draw, and the internet blew up. 2 months later, he uploaded another video of him drawing every day for 100 days, and this is his result. Everyone went crazy because that's a huge improvement. Artists start making reaction videos calling him a prodigy, and for a good reason too. I mean, just look at that comparison. Not gonna lie, I became jealous of him, thinking maybe he is a prodigy. Must be so good to born talented. Even though I know clearly in my head that art doesn't work that way. Especially drawing. If you don't practice regularly, you will never get better, even if you are talented. So one day, I decided I have enough of this jealousy thing. There's no point to be jealous of someone that doesn't even know I exist. And it doesn't help me to get better in my art. So if I have time to be jealous of someone, might as well just use that time to practice. In fact, I should learn from him. How did he get so good in such a short period of time? So I rewatched both of his videos and learned that consistency and discipline is the key. I started reflecting on myself and found out that consistency and discipline is exactly the two things that I don't have. I'm very impatient and get tired of something very quickly, always rushing to see the results rather than spend time to really improve myself. I want to improve on anatomy but get tired of it just 2 days and proceed to give up. So I asked myself, why can't I be consistent in my practice even though I love drawing? And the answer is, I overwhelm myself while practicing. Pewdiepie mentioned that he only draws for 10 minutes a day in his 30-day challenge. So maybe that is the key to stay motivated. When I practice, I don't really time myself, so it always ends up with me just sitting there learning the same thing for hours and hours. And when I finally decide to stop, I get so tired that I don't have any energy to do anything. So to avoid that mistake again, I just have to set a timer for my practice hours. When the time is up, I have to stop. No extensions. Pretty simple. I'm gonna try this for a week, 2 hours of practice daily, and see where it takes me. I don't want to overwhelm myself with complex theories and methods on the first day, so I'm just going to do some sketches and go on from there. I got some pictures that I like and just start the timer. This is the result after 2 hours of sketching. I'm not really good at realism, so it's kinda weird. My rough sketches usually took me hours, so I think I did a pretty good job in just 2 hours. It also helped me practice to quit dawdling on details because I have a time limit. So this is a good practice for me and I actually enjoyed it a lot. Instead of being tired after the practice and thinking of quitting, I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow's practice. FYI, about this reference here, I'm just watching some random videos the other day and stumble upon this and be like, damn, that's a good reference there. Might as well just take a screenshot for later. I want to spend my second day learning on how to draw the torso because that is my biggest problem. I just cannot link the head and shoulders together properly. It will always look weird and I have to redraw a lot to get it right. Even after I get the proportions right, the character will still look very stiff. And so I follow along this tutorial by Chongmang to learn his ways. He mentioned that drawing the torso using a circle is easier to achieve a softer human body and a more dynamic pose. But if you don't have a good 3D perception, it might be hard at first, and that is exactly what I'm struggling at. So it's better to use a box for beginners. I get distracted while in the middle of practicing and search for Akihito Yoshitomi's torso tutorial. Because previously I always used this tutorial to practice but can never get it right. So I want to find out what the problem is. Turns out, it's a problem with the 3D perspective that Chongmang mentioned. I had seen a lot of tutorials saying use a box to draw the torso or don't use a box, use a circle instead because the human body is not a box. Turns out, it's better to use both. Use a box when you're starting out and then change to a circle after that. This experiment is slowly turning into an art journal. At day 3, I still want to practice more of the torso, so instead of following a video, I want to test out what I learned yesterday. So I just find some reference and start copying them. It started out pretty well, then I get stuck on the second pose. Maybe I'm not used to drawing that angle, it just doesn't look right. So I just skip that pose and move on to the next one. After I go through all the poses, I go back to trace the ones I can't get to figure out the problem. I'm currently aiming to draw faster, so I decided to practice on croquis. So I go on guest draw party, pick a video and start practicing. I feel like I should do this before I practice on torso, but anyway. Drawing croquis can be really exhausting, so I allow myself a 5-minute break after the end of each video, so I won't faint halfway. I follow along with half the speed so that I can keep up. In the end, I only practiced 1.5 hours that day because after I finished the second video, I felt very dizzy from concentrating too much. So I don't want to force myself to continue. I'm actually quite surprised by the improvements I made during this 1.5 hours when I compare the first pose and the last pose I draw. On day 5, I want to test if I get the proportions right because when I practice croquis on day 4, I feel like the proportions are sometimes off and I can't really notice if they're all stickman. So, I tried to draw a complete sketch using the method I've been practicing these few days. And to my surprise, it actually turns out quite decent. Plus, the character looks more relaxed than my previous drawings. And I only used 1.5 hours on this sketch, which is a huge improvement compared to my previous work. Not gonna lie, I feel pretty good about myself. I tried to draw croquis with a normal video speed to see if I've made any improvements. The first one turns out so bad. I'm like, why is it so fast? Then I realized that this is the normal speed. 1 minute is never that long. I'm better at keeping up with the speed at the second video. And for my last pose, I just tried sketching without the guidelines to save me some time, and it turned out pretty good. At this point, my head feels like it's floating, which is a sign that I should stop. So I did one more croquis video and end my practice for the day. I never expect myself to say something like this, but I actually enjoy croquis. I feel like the quick sketches bring me back to my childhood, where I would just scribble anything on a piece of paper and just enjoy drawing. On the last day, I have to put myself to the test to see if I've made any improvements over the week. So I tried to redraw this birthday up from 2 years ago and see if I can make him look more natural. I limit myself to 2 hours and see how far I can go. It started out pretty good until I realized that I'm not using a teenager's body shape and it looks super weird. I did my best to change the proportions, still looks weird, but I just go with it. I don't really know what I'm thinking at that time, but I decided to color with the thick painting method, which, by the way, is my first time using this method. My brain is like, oh, I don't really know how to do this, but let's do it anyway, when I'm already short on time. Like, why? I regretted so hard during the process, but I don't have time to recolor, so I just have to push through. It ends up looking okay, I guess. It's not perfect, but at least the pose is more natural than the original one, and that alone is already a win. So this is the comparison of my first day and my last day. Does it look better? I'm not sure, but I definitely learned a lot during this week. It's not a drastic improvement like Pewdiepie's, but it's definitely something. Thank you for watching through this video. If you like my content, Leave a like, comment, or subscribe to support me. Bye!